Who are you? I mean, really, who are you? It's probably one of the biggest questions we can ask ourselves. For centuries, people have tried to figure out that unique mix of thoughts, feelings, and actions that makes you, well, you. And more recently, psychologists have been trying to turn that big philosophical question into a scientific one. They've been trying to draw a map of human personality. But let's be real for a second. That sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? How could any scientific model possibly capture all your little quirks, your deepest hopes, the very essence of who you are? It's a huge challenge for sure, but the goal isn't to predict your every single move. It's about finding the underlying structure, the key dimensions that kind of shape all of us. I like to think of it like mapping a giant, undiscovered continent. The first explorers, they draw these really rough sketches. Then, later adventurers come along and start filling in all the details. And that's pretty much what happened in the science of personality. So today, we're going to follow the story of these psychological map makers, from their first early blueprints to the much more detailed charts we use today. So our story starts with one of the boldest of those early explorers, a guy named Hans Eysenck. He was a real pioneer who was convinced that all the crazy complexity of our personalities could be boiled down to just a few fundamental, even biological dimensions. His work really created the first truly scientific blueprint for what personality looks like. But here's the funny thing. Eysenck never even wanted to be a psychologist. It's a great story. He fled Nazi Germany and ended up in England, and he went to enroll at the University of London to study his true passion, which was physics. But they told him he didn't have the right prerequisites, so he asks, okay, what scientific subject am I qualified for? The answer? Psychology. And just like that, because of some paperwork, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century started his career completely by accident. So what did Eysenck's map actually look like? Well, he proposed that our personalities are built on three main super factors. First, there's extraversion versus introversion, basically how outgoing and sociable you are. Eysenck thought this was literally biological, finding that introverts' brains are naturally more stimulated. Second, you've got neuroticism versus emotional stability, which is all about your tendency to feel negative stuff like anxiety or worry. And third, there's psychoticism. Now hold on, this doesn't mean psychosis like in a clinical sense. It's more about traits like nonconformity, being impulsive, and even creativity. With just those three dimensions, Eysenck gave us a really powerful, if simple, starting blueprint. Eysenck's three-factor model was a huge deal, but it wasn't the end of the story. The next generation of researchers, especially Robert McCrae and Paul Costa, took his blueprint and started to refine it, adding more detail and a lot more nuance to the personality map. And honestly, this is how science is supposed to work. It's not about one person being right and someone else being wrong. It's a team effort, building over time. Each new theory stands on the shoulders of the ones that came before it, correcting things, expanding on ideas, and just refining our understanding. McCrae and Costa didn't throw out Eysenck's work. They built right on top of it. You can really see the evolution right here. Eysenck's extraversion and neuroticism, they're still key parts of the new model. But McCrae and Costa expanded the map into what we now all call the big 5 traits. They are openness to experience, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. A lot of people remember it by the acronym OCEAN. This more detailed 5-factor model is hands down the most widely accepted and used map of personality in psychology today. Okay, so we've got these maps. They're interesting academic ideas. But so what? Do they actually tell us anything useful about our lives? Do these traits on a piece of paper actually predict what's going to happen out here in the real world? Well, the answer is a huge resounding yes. And this is where it all gets really, really interesting. This isn't just about sticking labels on people. The different dimensions on this personality map have been shown over and over again to be incredibly powerful predictors of really important things in life. Everything from your health and happiness to how well you do in school and at your job. Check this out. A major study by researchers Knoftel and Robbins looks at over 10,000 students, and it just perfectly illustrates this point. So what they find? The single biggest personality predictor of a student's GPA in both high school and college wasn't how smart they were, it was their level of conscientiousness. The connection they found, which you can see here, is just incredibly strong. So what in the world is conscientiousness? Well, it's the trait that describes people who are hardworking, organized, dependable, and on time. But it's not just that they work hard, it's how they work. People who are high in this trait, they tend to set goals, they manage their time really well, and they can push past distractions. I mean, that's basically a recipe for success in school, right? Their personality is directly fueling their achievement. So let's bring all of this back home, back to you. After hearing all this, you might be thinking, okay, so am I just a collection of 5 scores? Is my destiny already written down by my traits? But trust me, that is completely the wrong way to look at it. Here is the most important thing to take away from all of this. A map doesn't tell you where you have to go. It just shows you the terrain. These trait theories, they're not meant to put you in a box or to limit what you can do. They're a tool for self-awareness. Understanding your own personal map, your natural tendencies, that's the first step to navigating your own life more effectively and really growing as a person. Because in the end, the map is just a guide. It shows you the mountains and the valleys of your own personality, but you are the explorer. You're the one holding the compass. Knowing where you're starting from doesn't decide your final destination. It just helps you chart a much better course. The real power isn't in the map itself. It's in how you decide to use it